So I think we can start. So good morning, everyone. Thank you all for joining us today. We're just about to start another Effisus Connect to Value session. For those who are here the first time, just to let you know, we have a chat somewhere on your screen. So any question, any comment you have during a presentation, feel free to leave there. Today, I'll be followed by my colleague, Mara Duran, which is part of the technical department. So solutions, all the problems we have in here, something very specific you have, feel free to comment. We're here to open for discussion for all during this session. So today's topic is sealing of perforation on facade, as you all know. And today I decided to start this whole presentation bringing a couple of situations that we see at site, so some pictures that we took during a couple of site visitings. So the facade itself, in this case, specific rain screen cladding, for instance, we have all this profile, this metal profile, which is going to be applied the cladding. And in this case, we see all these different perforations from the bracket itself. In this case, the bracket is perforating the membrane. We have a breather membrane here, behind that, the insulation itself. So different components. And here, I think, just to give a quite quick overview of this whole presentation you see here, we're going over those sort of details. In this case, the specific, we'll be focusing on this type of bracket perforations. Later on during the presentation, you see different perforations that you commonly see, for instance, a balcony or a pipe penetration. And we go over a little bit the solutions that we have for this type of things. So same thing here. Again, a breather membrane, you have the board itself and multiple perforations from the brackets. And here we have a couple of things that's important to mention because the sealing of this type of interface and the sealing of this type of facade will rely, of course, on the solutions that we brought to this type of details. So, of course, you see here multiple perforations on the membrane, on the facade itself, and how we actually seal this type of points. How do you assure that there you have no leakage inside for the board itself or the insulation itself? When it's just an cut open hole here. Again, this will lead for a series of problems. The main one being a leakage inside the building. Other one I can mention is loss of energy efficiency. We all know if it's a wet insulation and having this point opened over there, all the open gaps there, will not perform very well. We're trying, of course, having a breather membrane in this case, will prevent most of this case, but we need to go look into details of how we actually need to seal this type of perforation. So same thing here. In this case, we don't even have the breather membrane. We only have the insulation itself, and all the brackets being applied for the cladding. So here is the solution, and some of you might be aware of it already. We talk about this a lot. This is double-sided self-adhesive tape with many very particular properties. I like to highlight some couple of these properties later on. You see when it comes to this type of application. So this is Effisus to Bond DS. Effisus to Bond DS allow us to seal all these brackets, to seal all this type of perforations, having a specific knowledge that we call it active sealing technology. That is compatible to the most of the substrates available in the market. That once you apply this tape, it will be a completely watertight, a completely sealed point for this type of perforations. So here, Mar, if you could just help us just explain a little bit how Tubon DS work, what is it, the active sealing technology that I mentioned?
Yes. We are talking about a tape, a very innovative tape. It's working with active sealants. What it means inside of the tape itself, they are an encapsulated primer, so we don't need anything else to use it for seal. It's by adhesive tape. So you only have to use it in a short or in a big perforation. It doesn't matter. So it's like we have two checks, or we guarantee two types of sealant. First of all, with the adhesive itself, only applying a bit of pressure, and then with the elasticity, with the elongation, this kind of material is a very it has a very huge elongation at 500%. So it we can say it embrace the screws perfectly. So when you perform, we can say the wall or the mechanical fixing in this case. All the tape, sorry, embrace the screw. So it's as I said, it's a double check sealant.
So here I'm just going to show a little bit how this technology actually works. So as Mara was saying, this goes to a sort of molecular level once you apply. In this case, you have the fasteners, and we try to remove. So you actually see how it's going to be inside. So the whole tape itself, or particulars of the tapes, will encapsulate these perforations. And once you apply, of course, some sort of pressure, it will sort of even extrude, as you see here, is losing a little bit of the tape. And the whole properties of the tapes is focused on this, the watertightness, the sealing of all of these points. In this case, here you have, for instance, this termination bar, and when you have multiple perforations, multiple fasteners, and I think you can absolutely see how this actually works. So it's waterproof. It's completely waterproof. It remains its flexibility capacities during a long time. It can resist to temperatures until minus 56 degrees. Has a very long life expectancy for this product for over 20 years. And again, you can apply this to multiple situations. You imagine. We have some specific sessions focusing on only this application of this tape. Today, we decided to focus on specific properties on this type of sealing of fasteners, sealing of perforation on a facade. It could be on a roof. We use this a lot on roofing application for sealing between joints, for instance, and even roof perforations where we use this a lot. When it comes to certifications, I will say we have done a couple even additional testings. I mean, this all compliant with technical data sheets. But for instance, we decided to do one which is more applied to facade, which is the 1928. This is a European standard for flexible sheets, flexible membranes. And what we did was try to simulate a joint when you actually do, and with I think it's a 2 kilopascals water.
Yeah.
Oh, and once you apply the type of pressure, and the tape remains completely watertight, and achieve the classification W1, which is the best you can get when it comes to water tightness. Again, we have a lot of testing compatibility between different substrates, for instance, aluminum, concrete, you name it, a couple of specific membranes itself once it's applying the facade, insulation, a lot of testing, and has a very huge adhesion properties. In fact, it will be quite hard to remove depending on the substrate itself once you apply this tape. As Mar was saying, it has a elongation up to 500%, and depending on the subject you applied, we have done a couple of shear testing. For instance, in this case, you see aluminum, and in the middle you have two bands of this tape of 50 millimeters wide, I think, and this is a shear test we did, and you see these even after or goes to the cracking. In this case was up to 50 millimeters. So it remains, the whole properties is adhesion properties once you just doing a shear and up to 50 millimeters. So this is quite something, it's something completely different compared to other tapes because of the whole flexibilities, the whole properties of this material. So here is just a quick explanation. I think you could see actually in the other video, but here is just, for instance, when you have this bracket where you apply just a batch. This is comes in the tape itself come in rows in different widths. For instance, yes, a 5 centimeter width, and you apply just a batch, 5x7, 5x5, depending on the bracket itself. Remove one of the foil, since it's a double-sided, apply on the facade itself, and then you just fastener. And this is what you actually would happen, as you see in this video, as you see here on the application itself. And this is how it's going to be inside. So once you fastener, the tape will embrace the nail screw and maintain this whole completely perforation seal. Mark, do you like to add something here?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's that, and we can say in these cases we have a lot of proofs, and a lot of customers, we can say, they were like concerned maybe it's not perfect with the breather membranes, etc. But again, it's not only in our certifications with metal, with concrete, as well with our membrane. So in this case, we use a lot in all the facades these kind of sealants, and it's 100% proof.
Absolutely, Mark. So here is just a couple of examples, and in this case, as I mentioned, when you have the gliding brackets, but what you can actually see here is exactly how you apply. So you apply just a strip behind the brackets itself, and once you come to the brackets on top of that, the whole aluminum profile, you just screw. So it's just a matter of trying to, not trying to match, you need just to measure, see actually you need to perforate, and you will apply a patch or a strip of the tape itself behind it, and then you go with the gliding system on top of that, and then you just fasten it. And this is we're doing a lot. We have a lot of projects using this tape to seal all this perforation. So same thing here, just a different fixing scheme, but the purpose is the same. So you have all the brackets, and you apply, of course, a strip of the tape behind it. And as you see here, so I think the most important thing here is, of course, trying to understand all these points as details, as very weak points, as leakage points, and Effisus do have a specific solution for all of these cases. Other types of perforations that we commonly see, and now coming a little bit different, other aspect when it comes to facade perforations, is this type of perforation. So most of you think I was just going to focus on the brackets of this type of rain skin cladding, but we find this very common. For instance, was a stadium project when we have all these beams, all these steel connectors, all these profiles coming through the facade. And so actually here, how we're going to seal all this point. So quite complicated, a Y beam shape. And we do have specific solutions, we'll see later on, for this type of perforation. So something quite different. Same thing here, very specific flashing. This is always coming through the facade. Even here you have the cladding scheme the same, but on the top here, between this part of the coping and the bracket itself, this flashing, this detail, something different, but we find this very often as well. Same thing here when you have this anchor, this profile coming through the facade, and you have this whole gap between the panel. Other types here very common is this type of flashing. Sometimes we even have this pipes, this plumbing perforations or pipe ventilations when it comes through the facade. We found this a lot on roof. So most of the things you see in here could be applied on roof, and actually we apply even more to roof. So we're pretty much an adaptation of our solutions through the facade. So for this type of situations, those last couple of slides that I show, we have another specific solutions. This is something different in regards to Bond ES. We call it the Bond FT. So Bond FT is a uncured self-adhesive EPDM. When I mentioned being uncured is because it will gain the shape of the form that you want. Once you just, in this case, you're applying just a silicone roll, and you see actually how it happens. So in this case, you see a roofing application, but we'll show a little bit more on when it comes to the same details for the facade. What this membrane allows us is to completely seal all this type of interfaces, all this type of perforations, gaining the shape, gaining the form of the perforation itself. So it's the composition of it is APDM. We all know APDM. It's been in the market over 50 years. We have records since World War II, for instance. How reliable it is. APDM is 100% waterproof, so very UV stable in some cases when it needs to be a total exposure. So this is something quite different. And being self-adhesive and being uncured, as I mentioned. So just to come a little bit here on the technical aspect. The whole EPDM, a normal EPDM, a rubber EPDM, as we know, a membrane, it gains the capacity of memory or stressability during the process of fabrication with the changes of temperature. So it's cold and hot, cold and hot, cold and hot. This differential, this different temperatures applying during the process of fabrication allow us the EPDM membrane have the extractability over 500, over 400%, as we all know. And once you stress it, you pull it, it will come back to that form. For this specific project, we added an additional layer, which is the adhesive layer. But besides that, we pick up during the process of fabrication in the early stage, and that's why we mentioned it is uncured, because it has this memory capacity. Once you stress, it will gain the actually form. In this case, you're seeing here, but it will only cure, it will only actually gain the final form during a couple times during the exposure, in this case, humidity conditions, temperature conditions. As you see here, again, there's more. It's a video just to illustrate a little bit of the application on roofing. This is some characteristics of the membrane. As I mentioned, it's a pressure-sensitive tape. It's fully stick, so you just remove the foil and you apply on top of it, and still have the same capacities or stressability as a normal EPDM. So it's very simple. In this case, you don't need any mechanical fixings to apply this tape. You don't need any torch or fire in comparison for asphalt membranes, bituminous membrane, which are quite hard to install. Very effective for their purpose, but in the end, it needs a specialized labor, specialized work for applying this type of installation. Here, Omar, just to go over a little bit, we only have a few precautions, a few details when it comes to installing this project. We recommend just to apply a primer, and I think that's pretty much this.
Yes, it's only that a primer before, just to potential the adhesion of the substrate with our membrane, with our tape in this case. But it's only that. We don't need any touch, or we don't need any mechanical fiction, sorry, or something like that. And about the transportation, it's really easy because the rolls are not really huge. It's only 15 meters long, and the weights can vary. Depends on the project.
15, 30 centimeters, 45,
30,
quite small and
45,
compact.
something like that. So it's easy to transport, it's easy to apply, and of course one of our goals in all of our products is always the simplicity, the versatility. So even with this product and the tube-on-DS before, it's just that we don't need anything else, only our hands, scissors, or a mini roll or something like that to apply it, and we have a solution for a very long time.
Absolutely, Mark. In terms of guarantee or life expectancy of this product, what can we expect?
Yes, in terms of life expectancy, this project is an EPDM, as you said, so we have around 50 years. So we can say we don't have to be very worried about what is going to happen. And about the tube-on-DS, we have like 20, 30 years, depends on where it's installed. So in this case, I think we have our goal complete done. And in terms of guarantee, the standard guarantee is 5 years. So for all our projects normally. And then our consulting department, we always see where is going to be installed, or where is going to, or how you're going to use it. So depends on that.
Yeah,
We can,
depending on the
yeah,
project aspects, we can extend a little bit
yeah,
the warranty itself. Just standard warranty or it's 5 years, as Mara mentioned. But sometimes we extend it for 10, 15 years,
yeah.
depending on the project
So
itself, depending on application, how we actually follow this process. So here, BONFT, as I mentioned, indicator is specific for this type of different sealing on the facade perforations. So here in this case, you have all the steel anchors coming through the facade. And in the end, you have all these holes, these open gaps. So our product is very much suitable for this type of application. Here you see already applied. Being well installed, well applied, it doesn't give any bad looking or bad aspect to the facade itself. And in fact, sometimes we have applications where are quite nice as this one. You're just to look a little bit closer how it's installed. So in the end, you just to prepare the surface, as Mara mentioned, we have a specific primer. You don't have to actually worry about all these accessories or primer. Does it? This all come as a kit, as a system. So everything you need for the installation, we do provide. So we seal all these perforations. Same thing here. So when you have even in part of the inside, this sort of different details on the facade itself. So when you have these connectors, how this you actually going to see this type of flashing details or sealing of this type of details. We do apply in this case just a simple patch of the membrane, and then just because since it's very flexible, you can just form or shape it on this different shape. In this case, quite simple, but we see another examples. In this case, for instance, when you have just this same panel, this corrugated panel coming through the facade, and we have, as I mentioned, some perforations, some pipe perforations and fire stop, for instance. It depends. So you can actually do this. So you're able to shape it, you're able to form as you want, and seal all around this point. It's important to mention standard market solution. It comes to type of silicon mastics, which is all right. But again, since it's most of this case is going to be total exposure, these materials will start to cracking. In the end, it will not fulfill the whole goal of up to sealing this point because it will start leaking, of course. And then very high maintenance, which is quite simple. You just have to apply a bit, but then you do this over and over and over, depending on the cases. In this case, you don't need actually no maintenance. There's not no maintenance in this case, just to see actually how it's working. Say just once a year, just to have a double check how is the application, if it's actually completely sealed in this point. So quite simple and very fast as well, depending on the type of situation you have at site. So here's same thing as I showed this example on the first details when it comes to using outbound FT. So you can do this very easy. And here I like to bring this. So even when you have this type of windows, this is a project in France, we come up with the same solution. So again, as I mentioned, most of the solutions that we're showing us today were adapted or adjusted for facade application. Most of them comes for roofing application. Today we decided to focus on the facade. And it's very important. We tested. We've been nowadays applying more and more all the solutions through the facade. Mar, do you like highlight something here that I forgot to mention?
yes, we can say, for example, in these cases, talking about the application, it's a very, we can say, huge penetration, we can say. So when we do it with sections, so we cut like four sections of the tape. We have to be very careful with the overlaps. It's only that we always advise, like we have to to do 1000 millimeters of the overlapping, and we always have to apply again the primer in those places where the tape is going to be. But above all, it's only with hands, as you said, and as I said before, like mold the tape in the shape of the penetration, or the panels in this case.
Absolutely. So here, just a couple more technical, correct, more recommendation. I mean, all these details, this aspect, overlapping, which material to apply, this is all available on the website. I think we have there a menu of installation, some technical assessments.
Yes,
Something very specific, something very specific. This is what we love to do here, just to share a couple of you presenting. Is to actually analyze details. So from the client side, what we always ask sometimes is just a couple of drawings, and the drawings of the application itself. Sometimes just even a picture, it will be enough. Mara knows this well. So we made technical submission, technical statements saying actually what material you should apply, and with all our recommendations, our suggestions for the application itself. And besides all of that, we always go for training. All the solutions that I show us today are quite easy, quite fast to apply. So, but sometimes being a new client or don't have the actually proper training for that, we always go for training to help the guys to install all of these projects and solutions.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, when we supply this product in concrete, we have three in the system. We have three products. It's the tape itself, it's the primer, and I don't know if we said, but it's a sealant that we have to put it around all the perimeter. So
the perimeter a bit. Yeah.
A bit of a bit of the sealant. So it's like as you said before, it's an uncure tape. So the sealant, we can say it's a double checked for the moment, for the time, for the months at the beginning. It's curing. So I think we always provide the exactly dimensioned and exactly units of material, so the client doesn't be any worries about that.
Absolutely. In the end, for this project itself, Bond FT is just a matter of course, overlapping, cutting the membrane, trying to actually you're going to see all these penetrations. In some cases, in one go, one strip is enough to fulfill some cases. But again, quite simple and easy to do all this task at site. So thank you guys for all for joining us today. Just to mention, this is our daily sessions. So when it comes to our performing, which is a department, or even Facade, we have different schedules, and full schedule is available on our website. It's effisus.com. For us, it's very important to have you guys feedback. So if possible, just go check our website. I think Mara is going to post it here, a link regarding the feedback. I mean, something positive or negative, we're here to hear you. We're here to understand what actually we can do to improve. Any additional information regarding these products and other ones available on our website. This is my contact. I'm focused on the UK market. So if you for those who are attending our firm's very specific markets, I'll be glad again even for your questions or help you out with other of all departments. So once again, thank you all. Thank you, Mark. Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you, Jean.